That sound you just heard outside your window, the soft thud that made you pause mid-conversation, wasn't random. A bird just struck your glass. What you witnessed contains layers of science about bird vision, navigation, and survival that most people never grasp, and understanding it could save the lives of the next birds heading toward your yard. But here's what makes that collision even more tragic. The bird operating inside your window was seeing the world through a fundamentally different visual system than yours. Birds have 4 types of cone cells in their retinas, not 3 like you, which means they experience tetrachromatic color vision. They see ultraviolet light in the 300 to 400 nanometer range, an entire spectrum completely invisible to your eyes. To them, the world is richer, more detailed. And yet that sophisticated vision system evolved over millions of years to detect the subtlest shifts in natural light and color cannot process what glass actually is. When a bird looks at your window, it sees the reflection of trees and open sky, inviting, real, passable. The transparent barrier itself, it doesn't register. Their eyes evolved to navigate branches and sky, not to recognize a solid surface that reflects the world back at them while blocking their path forward. Birds navigate using Earth's magnetic field through specialized, light-dependent compass systems in their retinas, cryptochrome proteins that undergo chemical reactions when exposed to blue light, allowing them to perceive magnetic field lines as visual patterns. But this system has a critical vulnerability. The magnetic compass only functions when polarized light aligns parallel to the magnetic field. When that alignment shifts perpendicular, birds become completely disoriented. Your window doesn't just block their path, it creates false polarized light signals that hijack the same cryptochrome molecules that have guided their ancestors across continents. The glass reflects skylight in patterns that confuse these ancient navigation systems, turning your home's exterior into a dead zone where millions of years of evolutionary precision suddenly collapses. Now that you know about tetrachromatic vision and how birds' navigation systems get hijacked by your windows, have you ever noticed which windows in your own home seem to get hit the most? Comment your answer below. Let's dive into what actually happens in that split second when a bird realizes it's trapped between 2 impossible realities. Window collisions account for up to 1 billion bird deaths in North America each year. But that number only matters when you realize what it means for your specific home. Research shows the average residence kills roughly 2 birds per year, which means the structure you built to shelter your family has become a collision point in an invisible pattern. Spring migration, April to May, and fall migration, August to October, bring the highest strike rates when birds move through in concentrated waves. But the timing gets more precise. Most collisions happen during overnight hours and early morning when light conditions shift and birds are most disoriented. Those sounds you hear at dawn aren't coincidence. They're the result of birds encountering the same visual trap that has confused their navigation systems for millions of years, now amplified by glass surfaces that didn't exist when their ancestors evolved their remarkable but vulnerable sensory abilities. Window strikes aren't happening randomly across your property. Windows near bird feeders or fruit trees pose elevated risks, and the specific layout of your yard has already taught the birds which paths are safe and which are deadly. Go outside and view your windows from a bird's perspective. If you see branches or sky reflected in the glass, birds will too. That feeder you hung 3 years ago creates a collision trap. It draws birds close to windows while also giving them space to gain the necessary flying speed to injure themselves. Feeders, 10 to 15 feet from windows, balance your viewing angle with collision safety, letting you watch more bird species without the reflections that confuse their navigation systems. Too close, and the glass becomes a lethal mirror. Too far, and the birds lose the visual anchor that keeps them from panicking mid-flight. The distance that seems perfect for your comfort has created what researchers call a strike zone, close enough for speed, far enough for disorientation. UV reflective tape, following the 2x4, rule stops most window strikes, vertical markings spaced no more than 4 inches apart, horizontal markings no more than 2 inches apart across the entire window's surface. This pattern works because birds perceive the ultraviolet reflections that warn them away from glass, the same tetrachromatic vision system that failed them before now becomes your ally. Applied correctly, these patterns reduce strikes by up to 85% while keeping your view nearly unobby.